My name's Lucas. I'm 29 years old and, brace yourselves, I'm the proud owner of a fast food restaurant. Not a Michelin star place, not even a foodie hotspot. Just a simple joint where people come in, inhale fries, and sometimes remember to say thank you. And you know what? I love it. I started at the bottom, sweating in other people's kitchens, flipping burgers for bosses who thought overtime meant free labor. I saved every coin, dodged every temptation to blow it on shiny nonsense, and finally scraped enough together to open my own place. And it worked. People came, people liked it, people came back. Next thing I knew, I was the burger guy in my area. Not glamorous, but hey, people know me. Thanks to that, I bought a car used, but she runs like a champ, and a house. Okay, not a mansion, more like comfortable IKEA catalog with a mortgage, but it's mine. I was living the dream, greasy fingers, long shifts, and total independence. No luxuries, no drama. Maria walked in. It was a Friday afternoon, one of those nightmare shifts where you're running out of napkins and patience at the same time. I jumped on the cash register to help and then, bam, she shows up. She's got this shy smile and for some reason my brain went, oh hello, plot twist. She orders, then asks, wait, is this place yours? I tell her, yeah. Her eyes go wide. Wow, that's so impressive. And me sweating through my apron thinking, lady, I just handed you a burger. Let's not call Forbes yet. But hey, she congratulated me, we talked a bit, and before I knew it she kept coming back. Then we were hanging out. Then, bam again, we were dating. At first it was fun. She was sweet, affectionate, made me feel like maybe I wasn't just the guy who smelled like fryer oil 24/7. Butterflies, fireworks, all that nonsense they sell you in rom-coms. But then, well, Maria had what I'd call a unique personality. And by unique I mean jealous. And by jealous I mean she could have worked for the FBI. Example, I'm at work talking to a female customer about her order. You know, basic restaurant interaction. Maria's eyes narrow like I just proposed marriage across the counter. Who's that? She'd snap. A customer? I'd answer, wondering if I should print her a receipt or a restraining order. Or my favorite, social media. Some random girl comments, nice food, under a photo of my burgers. Suddenly Maria's holding my phone like it's Exhibit A. Who's Jessica? Why is she talking to you? Because she's hungry? I'd say, trying not to laugh and also trying not to die. At first I thought, wow, she must really like me. You know, the classic male brain glitch, confusing red flags for carnival lights. So instead of setting boundaries like a healthy adult, I just smiled and thought, she's jealous because she cares. Genius move, Lucas. Real genius. But those little quirks? They didn't stay little. Arguments started popping up out of nowhere like pimples before prom. She could go from you're my everything to I don't even know if this is working in under 5 minutes. 1 minute she'd be cuddling me like I was the last man on earth, the next she'd be staring off into space like she was questioning all her life choices, including me. And me? Oh, I was busy justifying it. Maybe she's insecure, I told myself. Maybe she's had some difficult experiences in the past. My mistake? Believing love was some kind of miracle glue that could fix everything. Spoiler, it's not Gorilla Glue, it's Scotch tape. The truth is, I was in love, capital L, stomach butterflies, future planning kind of love. I genuinely believed we had a shot at forever. I was even foolish enough to imagine a wedding someday, kids running around, maybe even family dinners where no one complained about soggy fries. And of course, in all my plans, Maria was right there beside me. I thought she felt the same. Cue laugh track. But then, plot twist. A few months ago she changed. Suddenly, Maria was distant, distracted, like her brain had been abducted by aliens. Whenever I asked what was wrong, she'd brush me off. I'm just tired. Oh, personal worries, you wouldn't understand. Sure. Because I'm apparently too dumb to grasp the complexity of sighing dramatically at walls? I tried not to push. But that new coldness was like living with a freezer that occasionally scrolled Instagram. And the arguments? Oh, they multiplied. We had the kind of fights where you can't even remember what started them. Probably a spoon facing the wrong way. Then came the awkward silences, the kind that made Netflix binges feel like hostage negotiations. Now, I'm not the jealous type. Never was. But something inside me started buzzing, like a smoke alarm you want to throw across the room but can't ignore. I just knew she was hiding something. And then it happened. One day she's in the bathroom, her phone lights up on the table. Normally I don't snoop, really I don't. But the screen lit up with a message, see you tomorrow. I cannot stop thinking about you. Lovely. Nothing says healthy relationship like mystery love notes from unregistered numbers. My first reaction? Denial. Maybe it's a friend joking. Maybe it's spam. Yeah, just some poor telemarketer getting romantic. But my gut said otherwise. So I kept quiet. I didn't bring it up, didn't accuse her. Instead, the next morning I woke up early and followed her. Am I proud of this? No. Did I need answers? Absolutely. She told me she was visiting a friend. Cute. Instead, she strolls right into a cafe. I park a safe distance away, feeling like a discount private investigator. Then, enter stage left. A man shows up. Took me a second, but then I realized it was her ex. And let me tell you, the greeting was a little too National Geographic for my liking. Hugging, smiling, talking like they just walked out of a Hallmark movie. Meanwhile, me in the car. Oh, look at that. 3 years of my life collapsing like a poorly built Jenga tower. I didn't confront them. No. I just sat there, silent, stewing in a cocktail of anger, sadness, and the distinct urge to throw a cheeseburger at his head. But after a few minutes, I left. I didn't have the strength to barge in like some cliché movie boyfriend. That night, when she came home, I decided to deal with it. I sat her down, looked her straight in the eye, and said, Maria, I know what's happening. At first, she tried the classic deny, deny, deny. But I wasn't blinking. She cracked, looked down, teary-eyed, and confessed. Yes, I've been seeing him, she said. And then, for the big finale, she added, he's the love of my life. Oh, wonderful. I'm glad we cleared that up after only 3 years and countless rent payments. She went on, I care about you, but I never stopped loving him. Hearing that was like getting stabbed in the chest while someone plays sad violin music in the background. All this time I thought we had a future. Instead, I was just a placeholder. A warm-up act until the main star returned. She asked me to understand, to be compassionate. She swore she hadn't planned it, and that old feelings just came back. Meanwhile, me internally, yes, of course. Who hasn't accidentally tripped and fallen back in love with their ex while still living with their boyfriend? I felt devastated. Absolutely wrecked. 3 years of effort, affection, and sacrifice were suddenly crumbling in the cruelest way. That was the moment it finally clicked for me. Love is useless without sincerity or respect. You can buy roses, sing ballads, even pay off somebody's electricity bill. But if there's no respect, congratulations, you're just a walking ATM with feelings. And here's the kicker. What came after the breakup was somehow worse than the breakup itself. See, in our relationship, I had always been the guy covering the big expenses. Bills, trips, debts, you name it. It wasn't charity, it was just my way of showing affection. Maria snapped her fingers and I, apparently, was the genie. One of those little acts of love was her car. When we started dating, she told me she was drowning in monthly payments. My restaurant was doing well, so I thought, no big deal. I'll help. That's what partners do. Cute, right? Except now it was about to turn into a boomerang aimed at my face. A few weeks after our breakup, I'm at the restaurant going through accounts. The phone rings. It's her. Against my better judgment, I pick up. Hello, Lucas, she says, all casual, like we didn't just torch 3 years of my life. What do you want, Maria? My voice could have cut glass. I was just calling to tell you that you still haven't paid the car's monthly installment. You should do it soon or else interest will pile up. Excuse me? I laughed, but not the fun kind. More like the I might lose my mind kind. You're joking, right? No, I'm serious. You've always paid it. And that's when my blood pressure officially moved to the moon. Listen carefully, Maria. You and I are nothing anymore. You cheated on me, you told me your ex is the love of your life, and you still have the audacity to call me about your car? Newsflash, that's your car. Handle it. Dead silence. The kind where you can almost hear the tumbleweed roll by. Then I hung up. I thought that was the end. Oh, sweet summer child. Days later, she starts harassing me. Calls, texts, new numbers, she was like a spam bot with feelings. Act like a man, she said. You can't back out of your commitment, she said. So I blocked her. And then came the sequel no one asked for, her ex. The first time I saw the unknown number, I ignored it. But he kept calling like a mosquito that just won't die. Finally, I answered. Are you Lucas? The voice sneered. Yes. Who's this? I'm Daniel. Maria's partner. Oh, fantastic. Her parasite-turned-boyfriend had entered the chat. This guy, who still lived with his parents and couldn't afford Wi-Fi unless his mom paid the bill, was now calling me. And what the hell do you want? I asked. He cleared his throat like he was delivering a TED Talk. Look, I don't want trouble. I just think it's fair that you continue supporting Maria. She gave you 3 years of her life, 3 years of her youth she'll never get back. The least you can do is pay her what she's owed. I froze. Excuse me? Yes, you heard me right. She deserves for you to cover at least a year of rent and the pending car expenses. Daniel had the audacity to say, "It's nothing to you. You have a restaurant that makes you good money." That was it. Nuclear launch sequence activated. Look, you imbecile, I snapped. For 3 years I gave her everything: stability, support, a roof over her head, and yes, even paid off debts that weren't mine. So don't you dare tell me I owe her anything. She's the one who failed me. I'm not giving her another cent. He tried to butt in, but I steamrolled him. Do you know what your problem is, Daniel? You're a freeloader. A parasite who still lives off mommy and daddy, never worked for a damn thing in your life, and yet you have the nerve to lecture me? You, the great love of her life, can't even buy her a coffee, but you expect me to keep paying her car and rent? Why don't you take care of her, Romeo? Silence. Sweet, awkward silence. I leaned in for the kill. Learn to earn things with your own sweat, you freeloaders. And before he could whine back, I hung up. That was the end of the call, but not the harassment. Maria started in again like a pop-up ad that wouldn't close. Messages like, "Lucas, be reasonable. Don't leave me alone in this." Or the classic guilt trip. "If you ever really loved me, keep your word and pay what's left." At that point, I wasn't even angry, I was impressed. Betray me, run back to your ex, and still expect me to play sugar daddy? That takes Olympic-level audacity. But I was done. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about respect. I'd given more than enough, opportunities she never would have had without me. And instead of valuing any of it, she chose Daniel, Mr. Freeloading Forever 21. Worse still, she wanted me to keep being her financial backup singer while she played house with him. That's when the brutal truth hit me. Some people don't just take advantage of your love, they take advantage of your generosity. And if you don't set limits, you basically turn into an emotional ATM that also pays for gas. So with every new "please pay my bills" text, my determination hardened. The car? Not my problem. The rent? Definitely not my problem. Her new life with her true love? Also not my problem. I may not be perfect, but I know this: everything I have, I earned. Nobody handed me a restaurant, a house, or a life. And if she wanted to stay with her ex, then congratulations. That also meant staying with her own responsibilities. So I made it final. I blocked her everywhere, even her mystery new numbers. I told my employees not to let her into the restaurant if she ever showed up. Not because I wanted to humiliate her, but because I needed to protect my peace of mind and the business I built from sweat and grease. The first days weren't easy. I was angry, sad, and honestly a little hollow inside. I'd given years of my life to someone who, in the end, just used me. But as time passed, things got clearer. And even though it still stung, I knew I'd made the right call. Not a single cent more for someone who betrayed me and didn't even have the decency to leave with dignity. Update: after everything that happened, I thought I had already closed this chapter of my life. I had blocked her everywhere, set clear boundaries, and thought, finally, peace at last. Silly me. A couple of quiet weeks passed and then, ring ring. Unknown number. I stared at the screen. Do I answer? My brain said, no, you idiot. My habit said, maybe it's important. So I picked up. Worst mistake of the day. Lucas, please don't hang up, came Maria's voice, half sobbing, half gasping like she just auditioned for a telenovela. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw my brain. What do you want now? I asked, colder than the freezer in my restaurant. Please at least help me with the car, she whined. If we don't pay this month, they'll charge interest and I have no way to do it. Just give me some money. I actually went silent, not from pity but from shock at her Olympic-level nerve. Maria, I finally said, that car is yours. Not mine. Your toy, your debt, your circus. I'm not paying a dime. Cue louder crying. Lucas, understand me. I promised Daniel you'd cover everything. I told him not to worry, that you'd always been there. I assured him we wouldn't lack anything because you have money, because you're rich. I almost choked laughing. Rich? I said, practically clapping with sarcasm. Do you seriously think having a restaurant makes me a millionaire? Do you know how many hours I work? How many times I've smelled like fries at midnight? I'm not rich, Maria. I just don't freeload. You want out of debt? Get a job. Revolutionary concept, I know. Then, bam. A weird noise and suddenly another voice grabbed the phone. Look, you low life, Daniel's voice came through, all tough guy mode. If you don't want anything to happen to your little hamburger stand, you better cooperate. For a second, I'll admit, a chill ran down my spine. Then anger steamrolled fear. Are you threatening me, you parasite? I barked. Listen well. If you touch my restaurant, you go straight to jail. I'm not afraid of you or anyone. You want money? Get a job like any halfway decent person, because you won't see a single cent from me. And I hung up so hard my phone probably felt abused. Of course, a few minutes later, ring again. I didn't answer. Blocked the number. Then came the audio message from Maria. Please, Lucas, she sobbed, help me. It's a lot of money. If you don't give me something, Daniel's going to leave me and I'll have no one to support me. That one? That broke me in laughter. She wasn't worried about debt, shame, or dignity. No. The problem was Romeo McFreeloader might leave her if she didn't have a sponsor. So I did what any self-respecting fed-up ex would do. I opened my gallery, found the meme of Mr. Krabs playing the world's smallest violin, and sent it to her with the caption, "This is the official anthem of your situation. Good luck with your great love and your debts." Cathartic. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. But reality hit me again. This wasn't just about jokes anymore. Daniel had straight up threatened my restaurant, and that wasn't something I could shrug off with memes. So the next day I sat across from my lawyer, phone in hand. Tell me everything, he said. I did, every call, every text, Maria's soap opera audio, Daniel's tough guy performance. I showed him screenshots, call logs, and that sweet little audio clip where Maria basically admitted her plan was to keep leeching off someone, anyone. My lawyer leaned back, adjusted his glasses and said, "This is extortion. And the threats against your business? Serious. Very serious. We can file a complaint." I didn't need to think twice. Do it, I said. That same day, I filed a formal complaint and requested protective measures. After filing the complaint, I wasn't about to sit around waiting for Romeo and Juliet of the Freeloaders Club to make their next move. No. I hired private security for the restaurant, installed more cameras than a reality show, and reinforced the entrances so much that even a tank would have to show ID to get in. I gathered my employees for a quick meeting. Listen, if Maria shows up here with tears and Daniel with his fake gangster voice, don't even let them pass the door. Pretend you're bouncers at an exclusive nightclub and they're not on the list. My cook laughed. Should I at least offer them a coffee? No, I said. Daniel can't even afford his own. Don't spoil him. We all cracked up, but behind the jokes I was serious. I wasn't going to risk my people or my place. And the irony of it all? While I was investing in security, cameras, and peace of mind, those two were probably sitting in some dingy room plotting how to squeeze more coins out of me. Proof? Days later, my phone buzzed again with an unknown number. I opened the message and nearly spit out my drink. You still have time to do the right thing and support Maria. If you don't, you will face the consequences. Written obviously by Daniel. I mean, the guy's writing style screams high school dropout. No punctuation, no grammar, and all threats. If extortion had a template, that was it. I didn't even get angry, just forwarded it straight to my lawyer with a note. Your Honor, Shakespeare strikes again. Every time they tried to manipulate me, they were digging their own graves deeper. Honestly, it was kind of entertaining, like watching clowns set themselves on fire. But I won't lie, it still affected me. It's not easy realizing the person you once trusted with your heart is now trying to shake you down like some budget mafia boss. The betrayal wasn't just about her cheating. What hurt most was her mentality, this absurd belief that because she'd been with me, I somehow owed her for life. Like my love came with a pension plan. And Daniel? Please. He was exactly what I already knew. A man without ambition, without dignity, without a single peso to his name, but with the audacity to call me asking for money. Was pathetic. I almost wanted to send him a mirror so he could take a good look at the love of Maria's life. But you know what? I wasn't afraid anymore. I was legally protected, I had security, and if either of them tried something, they'd be facing handcuffs faster than Maria could say, "Lucas, pay my car." The whole experience taught me something I should have learned earlier. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. I confused love with obligation and generosity with servitude. Never again. These days, while I'm busting my back at the restaurant and planning ways to expand, they're probably still sitting around scheming like cartoon villains, looking for their next victim. And instead of feeling angry, I just feel relieved. Maria traded stability for a guy who can't afford his own coffee, then had the nerve to call me rich and beg me to keep supporting her. That's the difference between builders and freeloaders. I build, they destroy. Now, my restaurant is stronger than ever. My customers love me, my staff has my back, and I'm learning to enjoy the single life, without leeches attached to my wallet. As for Maria and Daniel, I don't know if they're still together. Maybe they are, maybe she already realized that her great love can't even pay for gas. Either way, they won't see another cent from me. And if I can give anyone advice, don't let someone guilt trip you into financing their laziness in the name of love. True love doesn't demand you pay car loans or cover rent while your partner cheats on you with someone who still lives off his parents. I learned it the hard way, but thank God I learned it before the price was even higher. Update: as I said, I'd taken legal action. The complaint was filed, the restaurant secured, and I was slowly moving on. But still, in the back of my mind there was that nagging question. Would Daniel really go through with his threats? Well, I got my answer one night. I'll never forget it. It was a Thursday after midnight. The restaurant was already closed that night and I was finally getting some rest. I had just sunk into bed, probably drooling on my pillow, when suddenly my phone rang. It was the night watchman, and his voice was shaking like he'd seen a ghost. "Mr. Lucas, they just caught a man trying to spray paint the walls of the restaurant." I literally jumped out of bed like a cat hearing a vacuum cleaner. "What? Are you sure?" I asked, still half asleep and incredulous. "Yes," he said, panicked. "I saw him with my own eyes. He was about to stain the entire facade when I surprised him. I yelled at him to stop and he bolted. I called the police immediately and they got here in minutes. They chased him for several blocks until they caught him. I didn't even need to ask who it was, but I did anyway, just for the tragic comedy of it." "Who was it?" The guard hesitated a second, then sighed, "That Daniel guy." I froze. A mix of anger, relief, and bitter laughter washed over me. The man who had spent weeks playing Don Corleone over the phone had actually shown up to carry out his threats, armed with a can of spray paint. "What's next, Daniel? Glitter bombs?" I threw on some clothes and rushed to the restaurant. When I arrived, the patrol car was still outside, lights flashing dramatically like a movie set. One of the officers came over and confirmed it. "We caught him red-handed, sir. Literally, paint all over his hands. He tried to run but didn't get far." The watchman added, shaking his head, and when I confronted him, he was shouting nonsense like, "This place is worthless, and if he doesn't pay me, I'll ruin his business." I couldn't help myself. I let out a laugh. This was his master plan? To destroy my business reputation with cheap graffiti? Daniel was taken to the station, still huffing and puffing like he'd just run a marathon. That same night, I had to show up to ratify the complaint. Lucky for me, I already had an extortion case ongoing with the calls and messages. And now, thanks to Picasso with a spray can, I had attempted vandalism added on top. In legal terms, it was the final nail in his coffin. The following days were a whirlwind. My lawyer called me constantly to update me. Daniel now faced charges for extortion, threats, and attempted damages. Sure, the wall wasn't actually ruined, but the fact that he was caught in the act, paint in hand, police chasing him down, was more than enough to bury him. And Maria? Oh, she didn't disappoint. She tried to reach me, not directly, I had her blocked tighter than Fort Knox, but through mutual acquaintances. One of them called me up. "Lucas, listen, Maria asked me to talk to you. She says Daniel doesn't deserve to go to jail. He was just desperate." Desperate? I barked out a laugh. So desperation is now a legal defense? Should I also forgive bank robbers because they were desperate for cash? Another acquaintance tried the guilt card. "Maybe you're exaggerating, Lucas. Maybe it's better to just let it go." I didn't even blink. Exaggerating? I put up with being cheated on, lied to, extorted, and threatened. Then Paint Boy tried to vandalize my restaurant. If I let it go, what's next? Should I hand him the spray can and buy him more colors? No, enough was enough. Forgiveness wasn't on the table. It wasn't my job to hand out free passes to people who thought crime was a lifestyle. The process went quickly, because honestly, the evidence could have filled an entire Netflix documentary. Call records, message screenshots, the crying audio where Maria begged, the threats, and finally the grand finale. Daniel caught red-handed with his little spray can. In the end, Daniel was convicted. Not for a long stretch, but long enough to learn that life isn't about sponging off others and certainly not about trying to intimidate people with discount villain tactics. Now he had a criminal record to match his lack of ambition. Maria, of course, wasn't charged. She hadn't lifted the spray can herself, but her moral complicity? Obvious as daylight. Still, I had nothing else to say to her. That chapter was over. Or so I thought. Because what did surprise me was her last desperate attempt. One final stunt to appeal to my feelings. One night, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. I knew immediately, it had to be her. My thumb hovered over the screen like it might spontaneously combust if I opened it. Curiosity got the better of me and I tapped it. It was Maria. Surprise, surprise. The message was a novella in itself. Do you not understand what it means for a woman to be left alone? She typed dramatically. I just wanted someone to support me, and if Daniel ends up in prison, I will sink with him too. I read it once. Just once. And let me tell you, my finger moved faster than a caffeinated squirrel. Delete. Gone. Poof. No reply. Nada. I leaned back in my chair and muttered to myself, sinking with him? Honey, you were never on a lifeboat. You were just floating on my credit card. And that, my friends, was the grand finale. She was no longer part of my life, and honestly, it felt like unclogging a drain after months of emotional sludge. Looking back now, I feel a huge relief. 4 months, I had been trapped in this circus of manipulation where my generosity was treated like a negotiable commodity and my love was somehow mistaken for a bill I had to pay monthly. I thought I was helping someone who needed me, when in reality, I was feeding the comfort of 2 people incapable of taking care of themselves. The restaurant? Still standing. Stronger than ever. And the ironic twist? Word got out about the whole mess, and instead of driving people away, it brought me more support. Customers congratulated me, some even joking that they wanted to hire me as a life coach because of how I handled the whole debacle. One guy said, "Lucas, if you can survive her and Daniel, you can survive anything, including my mother-in-law." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped a tray of fries. I learned something crucial through all of this. It's not all about giving. You have to know when to draw the line or you end up empty, used, and, if you're unlucky, even the target of paint-wielding extortionists. I also realized that not all people deserve your help, and love doesn't mean surrendering your dignity or your principles. Daniel? Well, he got his comeuppance. Let's just say the law caught up with his freeloading ass. Maria, on the other hand, chose her own adventure. I chose mine. And although this experience left me with scars, it also left me with a priceless lesson. What you build with sweat and effort, you defend with your head held high. No fear, no guilt, and absolutely no giving in to blackmail. I can finally say with pride that I came out of this stronger, with my restaurant intact, my peace of mind preserved, and most importantly, the satisfaction of having ended a story that should never have started. And let me tell you, there is no better feeling than looking back and knowing that you didn't fall into the hands of those who only wanted to take advantage. Love this story? Like, share, and subscribe for more epic audio adventures. Stay curious and keep listening.